What's up, YouTube? Welcome back for another college football video. This week we got SEC, the big, the bad conference, and we're back here with Rhett finishing. Oh, look at that promo! A little promo going on.
Yes, sir. Go Bulls. Hey, everybody.
Go Bulls! Let's go! And then we're gonna be finishing up our conference predictions or previews, or should I say? And then next week we should be getting into more college football playoffs. Football season coming up. Can't wait. And yeah, let's get started. First team on schedule, we got Bama. Bama, their over/under line is listed at 9.5 and 13-2. Last year they finished 13-2, and this year their over/under line is 9.5. So this Bama team, of course, big news. Lost Nick Saban, added Washington's former head coach Kalen DeBoer, and this team, they lost a lot of pieces. They lost Caleb Downs, Dallas Turner, Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, among other pieces. But Bama is known as a team that can just refuel, you know. Plus, Kalen DeBoer also brought his regime with all the players he had in Washington. So that's just going to help with them. So they are projected to win fewer than 10 games for the first time since 2007. And I'll just assume it's just because of all the talent they lost and the loss of Nick Saban. But if you also look at their schedule, they also got a pretty... I mean, every team in the SEC is going to have a tough schedule, but you know they play teams like Georgia, Tennessee, Oklahoma's going to be a tough one, and then Missouri. And they play Oklahoma, Tennessee on the road. So, I mean, 4 tough games. Can they do it? Of course they can. They're Bama. They can easily win double-digit games, but this year it might be more of a challenge. They got Jalen Milroe, one of the best college quarterbacks in the nation right now. The only problem I see in him is just consistency. If he's able to stay consistent, he's for sure one of the top quarterbacks in the country right now. But that's the only question with him. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, Kalen DeBoer did bring some transfers over, so they did add some talent to kind of refuel the team. And yeah, just with the toughest schedules, or just the toughest teams, that's 4 teams right there. So if they are able to beat all the other teams, that's 8 wins right there. So they just have to beat 2 of them. So I think they can definitely win double-digit games, and they're arguably going to be one of the better teams in the country this year. Of course, if they're Bama, they got that reputation, got that high expectations, and they'll probably be a friends like
especially with the 12-team format now. If it was a 4-team playoff format, they would maybe be in contention for playoff, but I'd say it'd be slim to none compared to 12 teams. But let me just acknowledge that Alabama Crimson Tide has one of the toughest non-conference schedules I've ever seen in my life. Are you ready for this?
Nope. Forgot to mention.
They've got Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers.
Yes.
They've got Wisconsin Badgers. Go Badgers. They're a run-heavy team. They're going to be very good this year. They've got Mercer. They are a top 25 FCS school. And then on September 7th, they are playing the American Athletic Conference powerhouse. That is the University of South Florida Bulls. And guess what? We said we want Bama. We want Bama in fucking Bama. And that's what we get. Upset alert. Labor Day weekend. We're going to make some veterans cry. Sorry.
Put a loss already on the record for them already. That's all.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You said 8 wins? Bullshit, dude. From what I see right there, it's
Forgot
7.
about that part. Yeah.
Sorry. In all seriousness, they lost 40 players in the transfer portal this year. That is the most out of any FBS school in the nation. That's an absurd amount of players. And let me tell you, a lot of them are 4 or 5-star players. So it's not looking good just to start. They did bring in 15, and those 15 players are studs. And we got King Mack, who played for Penn State. We've got Caden Proctor, who played on the offensive line on the greatest offensive team in the nation. Do you know who it is?
Who?
Iowa.
Oh.
And then they brought in a
Offensive
shit ton
powerhouse.
offensive powerhouses that are the Iowa Hawkeyes. Go Birds.
Yeah.
And then they brought in a shit ton of 4 and 5 star players from Washington and Michigan, respectively. It's going to be tough to grade this team, honestly. They lost a shit ton of players. They got not as many players, but they're very high quality. Their recruiting class is obviously solid. It's Bama at the end of the day. Jalen Milroe is a phenomenal dual threat quarterback. Kalen DeBoer is an awesome coach. We'll figure out what his staff is over there at Bama, but 8 wins seems about right. We can undershoot them for now and then let their performance speak for themselves, I would say.
All right. Yep, and I forgot. How did I forget to mention USF, bro?
I know,
that's
that
a
was
loss,
ridiculous.
dude. Bama saw USF on the schedule. It was like, we got to rebuild this team. We got to get the offense going here.
Yeah, and then let me just add real quick. Bama has only 10 returning starters. It's one of the fewest in SEC, which should speak to Nick Saban leaving, and then also the leadership they had on their team last year.
Yeah. So, for sure, Bama took a hit. McKinnon DeBoer, since joining, he's a very good offensive coach, so I can't wait to see what he does with Jalen Milroe. Mm-hmm. So, moving on. Next, we have Arkansas. Arkansas's line is set at 4.5. Last year, they won only 4 games. So, give it up for Arkansas. Well, Arkansas, they're setting low expectations again. Their line is set at 4.5 wins. They got a transfer quarterback in Taylon Green. I think their coach is on the hot seat for sure. And just taking a look at their schedule, I'll say they're more likely to win 3 games than they are to win 5 games. So, unfortunately, they got to play Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State. So, not looking good for Arkansas. The schedule is not in their favor.
It's not.
And this team, it's just not looking good.
So they had the same head coach as last year. Yeah, they're fucked. They're doomed.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Love that.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry to cut you off in the middle of your analysis. I just looked up who's transferring into Arkansas. And you ready for this?
Who?
You know the award for the best offensive line is the Joe Moore Award? Okay. Well, let me tell you right now, they have some guy named Joe Moore who plays on the offensive line transferring to Arkansas. If that's not a good
How
omen,
about that?
I don't know what is. That's fucking incredible, dude. They're going to win at least 6 games.
Give them 6 wins. Give them 6 wins. Just on that alone. They're going to a bowl game. They're going bowling.
They're going bowling.
Send them the Boca. The Boca Raton Bowl. Let's go.
Portal rankings amongst the SEC, it's going to be low because they're battling against all these powerhouse programs. But I'm looking at these names, and I recognize a bunch of them from mid-major schools like BYU. You got Utah State here. You got USF. Go fucking Bulls, baby. Jaquindon Jackson from Utah, the running back, he transferred there.
Yeah.
They have a good defensive lineman from Albany who's coming in. He was a 4-star ranking. They got a
they're all 5 stars.
Yeah, they got a linebacker from Georgia. I mean, this team brought in some decent talent, as much as they can do for a mid-major SEC school. They have the worst recruiting class other than Vanderbilt, but we'll get there. And then their strength of schedule, as you said, it's bad. They're gonna have a rough season. They got to play Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's an easy win right there, I'd assume.
Hey, Arkansas.
Hey,
you own the state. Let's go.
They're gonna start the year off
see.
1-0. That's pretty impressive for Arkansas. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
But as long as Sam Pittman's
start.
the head coach, they are fucked. I don't know who their quarterback is. Do you know who their quarterback is going to be this year?
Yeah. I believe it's a transfer quarterback. His name is Taylon Green.
Oh, shit. Taylon Green. He was the quarterback from Boise State last year. He sucked.
Oh, was he?
But he's playing for Arkansas now. So
Yeah.
he increased his, what do you call it? Pedigree, I guess you call it. Yeah, Taylon Green, he was the Boise State quarterback last year. He did get hurt. All credit to him. Yeah, we'll see how he performs. I'm actually excited for that.
Moving on, we got Auburn. Auburn's line is set at 7.5 wins.
They start the season off with a tune-up game of Alabama A&M, historically black university. They're gonna play
That's a
Cal.
loss.
They're gonna play Cal. It's at home though, and they got Arkansas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, Kentucky, Vanderbilt,
Missouri.
Texas A&M, Aggies, and Bama. Roll Tide.
Last year they only won 6 games. This year, Hugh Freeze, he may be the only believer in Peyton Thorne. So Peyton Thorne's still back to be quarterback.
I forgot about Peyton Thorne.
Or Michigan State transfer. But
Jesus Christ.
he has upgraded all the pieces around him, though. They did bring in receivers, O-line, and some new coaching staffs. So maybe he'll have more success in year 2, but we'll see. The defensive line still has some concerns, and just taking a look at the schedule, it's not too bad for an SEC schedule. Yeah, they play Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, A&M, and Bama. But I think, that's pretty bad. That is pretty bad. Shoot.
I was waiting for you to catch us.
That's like 6 tough games right there. So, Auburn, best of luck to you. So, that's all I got.
Man. All right.
Peyton Thorne against the SEC defense. It's going to be a tough one.
Way to put an emphasis.
Better
on,
luck next year.
Oh my God! For you to emphasize Peyton Thorne as the offensive
I know.
highlight. Well, I'm not going to do much better because I don't know who's on this team besides Peyton Thorne now. They do have 16 returning starters. That's probably the only silver lining you're going to get out of this team besides, is Hugh Freeze? This is his second year, right? Or is this his first year back at Auburn? I can't remember.
It's his second year.
I want to say so too, but yeah, 2022. So yeah, he was Auburn head coach last year. Hugh Freeze, he got in trouble for something. I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to get sued by him, but it wasn't good at Ole Miss what happened. But he's redeemed his career. He went to Liberty, which is a Christian university. Gotta love Jesus, man. And he redeemed his life. He got back on the right track, and now he's making $10 million a year coaching for Auburn, which is a better school than Ole Miss. Redemption. It's like Taylor Swift, dude. It's one of the eras.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
He's in his redemption era.
He is in his redemption era. He might be in his red era because he was in his redemption era at Liberty, and now he's like, "Look what you made me do. Look what you made me." You know what I'm saying? He's in that era right now.
That's all you, bro.
I'm looking at their incoming transfers, and nobody here's really.
Hey, he sucks at NCAA.
batting
He sucks, dude. I'm 4-0. He sucks at NCAA.
Looking at the transfers, they got nothing coming in really. I mean, I'm sure they're good players. I just don't recognize any of them. Recruiting class was middle of the pack for SEC. Auburn, what'd you say what their win total or win projection is?
Auburn? 7.5.
Yeah, let's go under. So I think they're going to lose to Cal.
Moving on, next we got the Gators. Hometown Florida Gators. Their line is set at 4.5. The disrespect is unreal. 4.5. That is ridiculous. But if you look at the schedule, it is freaking hard. They got the hardest schedule in the whole nation, I
I was
swear.
about to say. They
But-
do. No, they statistically have the hardest schedule.
They're overlooking our team. We have probably top 10 college quarterback in Graham Mertz, all right? The O-line improved. The defense should be played better, especially the secondary.
Okay.
We got weapons for Graham Mertz. We got a 5-star recruit in DJ Lagway. And look at the schedule. Yeah, we play Georgia. Yeah, we play Texas. Yeah, we play Ole Miss and Tennessee. But screw them. 4 easy wins right there. Any place, anytime. Miami can get it too. We run this state. FSU, Miami, Sanford, Mississippi State, UCF. That's 5 wins already. So there's no way we're going below 4.5 wins. Billy Napier too is the GOAT.
Is that it? You done?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Did you brush off your knee pads before getting down there?
Don't you dare start disrespecting them either.
Did you drink a lot of water? Were you hydrated while you were down there? Because you were down there for a while.
Oh yeah, it's called the swamp for a reason.
Oh God. Oh Jesus. All right. Miami Hurricanes. Yeah, you guys could beat Miami. Sure. UCF. You could beat UCF. But when they go to Doak Campbell Saturday, November 30th. This isn't even a fucking preview. This is Florida State versus Florida in Tallahassee. Tickets as low as $236. Sure, Florida may have 15 returning starters. They may have gone through the ringer playing fucking Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, back to back to back to back to back. Call me fucking Drake. Mm-hmm. No, don't call me Drake. Don't call me.
What'd you mean by that, bro? Hey, yo.
They are going through the gauntlet before they get to FSU, and they are going to be battered physically, mentally, and emotionally. They're going to go into Doak Campbell and get fucking railroaded. Give me Seminoles by 1,000. But,
DJ Ogobuga can't handle this Gator stuff.
Anyways, they have a lot of good transfers coming in. I will say that. Florida did well in the transfer portal. They didn't lose as much talent as they gained. So that's a big positive for them this year. But that schedule's too much, man. I think you can agree with me. Please. That schedule
I see maybe 2-3 losses on this schedule. All right?
Who are those 2-3 losses? Go for it.
I want to say Georgia, but I also don't want to say Georgia. Okay. Tennessee or Texas. Okay, yep. Georgia, Texas.
Yep.
And it's gonna be a stupid one. It'll probably be like we'll probably do 3 straight. So probably Georgia, Texas, LSU.
Okay, that's fair.
Those 3.
You're wrong because they're gonna lose about 5 in a row. Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. And they're not going to be undefeated when they get to Georgia, so you can write off at least 6 losses right there. So they're going to go 6-6.
That's realistic, bro. 6, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0 before Georgia?
No fucking chance.
Dude,
there's no
the
chance.
only one stopping us is either Texas A&M or Tennessee.
Tennessee's railroading you guys this year, first of all. It's in Neyland Stadium. 116,000 people are going to be there. Are you on drugs right now?
We'll triple team James Pierce. And then Graham Mertz will have enough time to just throw it up to our receivers, man. Okay. Cook that defense.
You guys might not even beat Sanford, I'll be honest, but we can move on.
That's crazy. All right, yeah, you're out of your mind. Okay, we're going to move on. You just lost it. Next, we got Georgia Bulldogs. Now,
Bulldogs.
Some may say this team was the best team last year, but they didn't even make the playoffs, and they absolutely beat the dog crap out of FSU. Tough look. So, what did this team do? Yeah, they lost Brock Bowers. Yeah, they lost some other pieces of this team too.
So
what? This team still is loaded. They got they got a transfer running back in Trevor Etienne. Tough hit for the Gators.
Why'd you bring him up?
It was a tough loss. I love him. So
he wasn't even the number 1 option on your team. What are you talking about? Tough loss.
Well, he would have been this year. Maybe. But they still bring back Carson Beck. He's arguably the best quarterback in the nation right now. They still have versatile playmakers around him. The defense is still going to be great with Kirby Smart still there. Just taking a look at their schedule, their line is set at 10.5, which is kind of low for a team
Jesus.
of like Georgia. So, they
That's kind of high.
man, they play Texas at Texas. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, what are you talking about? 10 losses is high or is low. What are you talking about?
10 losses,
Or 10 wins. 10 wins is low.
10 wins for Georgia. Yeah, for Georgia.
No chance.
They haven't. What is it? They haven't. What was the stat I have here? They're favored in at least 11 games this season.
I don't know, man. I know Bama's not.
And
as
they opened
good
up the
this
season
year.
with Clemson.
I know, but Clemson's gonna be better this year.
Yeah.
They're older, 1 year older. You got Bama. You can never write off Bama. Texas is gonna be a fucking ball game.
Yeah,
you got-
that's gonna be awesome. That's true.
Then you got
At Florida,
at
you can't
Ole
forget the
Miss.
Gators.
No, I'm skipping right over the Gators. And you got at Ole Miss. And then you play Tennessee. That's a tough schedule, man. For 10 wins, you can
Yeah.
only afford 2 losses. Oof.
But yeah, remember this Georgia team hasn't lost a regular season game since 2020, which is crazy. But like you mentioned, there are some tough teams. They gotta play Texas, Florida, Ole Miss, Tennessee,
Stop.
like
bringing
all
up
the road.
Florida. Stop.
And they open up the season against Clemson, and they gotta play Bama too. So,
Oh, Bama, yeah. Secondary Bama. Compared to the UF.
oh yeah, they play Bama too. But what do you want me to say, bro? They got the Gators. That's probably gonna be an L, honestly. So
Okay, yep.
I think they probably finished with 1 loss. I think they probably slip up to like either like a Texas, Ole Miss, or Tennessee. SEC's gonna go crazy this year, man. I can't wait for some SEC ball. But that defense is still gonna be nasty as long as they have Kirby Smart too. So
Yeah. No, you're right. They're gonna go crazy this year. One of the weirdest transfers that I just saw, and I think we may have fucked up when the Pac-12 or Big 12 rankings that we did. Jaden Rashada, the QB from Arizona State, he transferred to Georgia.
yeah,
I didn't know about that.
did he? When was that?
April 25th.
Damn.
So I think we may have missed that in our Big 12 video, but Arizona State, they're not doing well. You can honestly skip that part of the video. You can go straight to Baylor, honestly, if we're being honest. I don't care. But I just wanted to bring that up. That's a weird transfer, given how bad or how poorly Arizona State played last year, but whatever. Do they have a tight end? They do. They got Benjamin Urasek from the Stanford Cardinal coming in. The biggest nerd you can ever fucking imagine from Stanford. He's coming in to replace Brock Bowers. They have Colby Young
Tough
from
one.
Hurricanes. Yeah, this team's going to be good, obviously. They're Georgia. They still have Kirby Smart, as far as I'm concerned. They're going to be fine. 10 wins? Yeah, I could see them winning 10 games, but that's it. I mean, 2 losses, I think, is a guarantee with this team, with this schedule. I think Ole Miss is legit this year, but they kind of under. I mean, we'll get to Ole Miss eventually, but they kind of had the Colorado Deion Sanders philosophy where they're just bringing fucking players in like the longest yard. But yeah, 10 wins, sure, book it.
Yeah, I mean they got the high behind them. So yeah, 10. I can see 11. I think they'll probably finish with 1 or 2 losses. So with that, we move on. Next team on the schedule, we got Kentucky.
Ugh.
Kentucky, their line is set at 6.5 wins. Last year they finished the season with 7 wins. Mark Stoops, he brings in former University of Georgia quarterback Brock Vandegrift. Did he bring in that transfer? They hired Boise State offensive coordinator Bush Hamdan, and they added a few potential starters in the offensive line, running back, and receivers. So they're kind of trying to stack up this offense to compete with these SEC defenses. Mm-hmm. Will it be enough? I don't know, man. To win more than their line is set at 6, so they're projected to be mid. They're projected to have one of the best defensive lines in the SEC, though, so that'll be interesting to see. And they got a few cupcake teams on the schedule, such as like Southern Miss, Ohio, Murray State, Vandy. I was gonna say they had one of the easier schedules on the SEC side, but then I keep seeing Texas in everyone's schedule, and I keep seeing Tennessee and Georgia, Ole Miss, and Florida. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is definitely gonna be a mid-team tier. I don't think they're good enough to compete with those higher end SEC teams, and they're just gonna get screwed over by playing like this SEC schedule.
They're not good enough to compete. They're not good enough to win. They're good enough to compete, though. I think a lot of the games they're going to be in are going to be competitive. I think that game against Ole Miss will be a fun one. Florida will be a damn good match. I can't wait for that one. Auburn, they should have the edge over Auburn, I think. Honestly, looking at their team. Tennessee will be a fun matchup, especially Tennessee late in the season. Texas, that might be a railroad, honestly. And then Louisville, they might have the... I know we covered Louisville back a couple weeks ago now, but Louisville, I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I think you're high on them. I don't think I'm as high on them.
Yeah.
So they can have 6 wins for sure. I would love for them to get 7 wins, get in like a Music City Bowl for them to play in an ACC school. But any bowl game that they play in, Kentucky always starts their players. All their players always start. And that's what I like about them. So let's get them 6 wins at least.
Yeah. So
and we have no clue about their quarterback. Their quarterback's unproven. Yeah. He's been on the bench for a year or 2.
But just having that transfer from UGA, that just looks scary on it by itself.
It does.
But we'll see how he plays, though.
Yeah, he's unproven. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So this team might be good enough to make up some upsets. So we'll see. Fun team to watch. Moving on. Next team we have LSU.
Go Dogs.
LSU. They lost Jaden Daniels and 2 first-round receivers. So that's tough to kind of rebuild from there.
That's a tough hit. Yep.
LSU. Yeah, it's a tough hit. But if anyone can handle that hit, it'll probably be a big-time SEC team like LSU. They got some questions on their defense. The offense is definitely going to regress, especially not having Jaden Daniels and those 2 receivers that we mentioned earlier. And they lost a few other players as well. Just taking a look at their schedule, I mean, they start off the season against USC. That's going to be a tough one, but one I think they can handle. It looks like the toughest team they played this year is probably Bama and Ole Miss. They can arguably win every game on their schedule here. I mean, the only games I see them having potential trouble with is probably like Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Bama, or like Oklahoma. So I definitely think they have like one of the lighter schedules in the SEC. So we'll see if the offense is able to kind of repeat what they did last year. Probably, most likely not. See if the defense can be any better than last year. So I think that would be the key. Is if they fix like some of the kinks in the defenses.
Man, they lost a shit ton of 4-star talent to the transfer portal this year. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they got outgoing transfers 27 to 9 incoming. That's a 3-time. Their outgoing transfers are absolutely bouldering over the incoming. And the incoming talent isn't that great. I mean, you have Zavion Thomas, wide receiver from Mississippi State, is probably the guy who leads the pack. Maybe C.J. Daniels from Liberty. But this team, they're being led by Nussmeier. He popped off in the bowl game at the ReliaQuest Bowl against Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's defense is really good. So they have a good basis here, but they lost their running back to the transfer portal. They lost some wide receivers. They also gained some wide receivers. Their O-line's usually reliable, but their defense is what the question mark is this year because they lost a lot of people. They lost a lot of people to the draft and to the transfer portal. That played a huge role on that defensive line and linebacker core. So, and again, you're playing in an SEC that is, what do we call it? It's innovating. You got more offensive firepower here in the SEC. It's not as what do we call it? Rough as it was last year, a couple years ago, where the offense is secondary to defense. Offense is picking up the slack this year, and we're gonna see how good their defense is the first game of the season against USC. Then they play UCLA.
Yeah.
They're fucking now. Both those teams. Well, that game is a neutral site game. I don't know where it's at, but then they play UCLA at home. So, yeah, LSU, they might have a tough season, man. I don't know. Brian Kelly. He's not going to be on the hot seat, but this is going to be a tough year for Brian Kelly and LSU.
We'll see.
Next team, we got Mississippi State. Line set at 4.5 wins. Last year, they finished the season with 5 wins. So, slight regression. All right, Mississippi State, 5 wins. It's not too bad. Give it up.
Nice.
This year, they're gonna be coming in with a transfer quarterback in Blake Shapen. According to reports, he looked sharp during spring training camp. They're gonna have first-time head coach Jeff Levy, and they got some playmakers here, including UTEP wideout and Kelly. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, but
Good decision.
Bulldogs, Mississippi State fans. I hate to break it to you, but you guys might be favored in only one SEC game this year. So
Is it Vanderbilt?
Let's check the schedule. And it is maybe possibly Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
So they're definitely gonna be towards the bottom because their schedule is no joke either. I mean, don't get me wrong. They start off the season with Eastern Kentucky, Arizona State, and Toledo.
Yep.
And then they got to play the powerhouse that is Florida.
Uh-huh.
And then they got to play Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Gators, Bulls, Bulldogs, oh, my.
And the
So,
Gators started
it's
the
not
pack,
long.
too. The Gators are the ones who are going to
Yeah.
pound them first, and everyone's just going to run in after the back. Yep. Got it.
Yeah, they're pretty much going to run a train on Mississippi State this year. So, it's, if you're a fan,
Jesus, this is
Close
like
your eyes.
children. This is a family-friendly show.
my bad. At least they play Arkansas and UMass in the middle of the season. That should lighten up the mood.
Yep, I should.
But that's all I got on state.
Okay, I'll keep this short and sweet. You ready for this? Mississippi State has 4 returning starters. And they have the worst ranked transfer portal of all SEC schools, and they have the second worst recruiting class in the SEC. You know what that spells?
What?
That spells a 1-10 season. They are fucked. Mississippi State is fucked this year. Mark my words, they will win 3 games, and it will be Eastern Kentucky, Toledo, and UMass. Thank you very much. Bye.
All right. Wait, I have the perfect person to break down Mississippi State. I'll be right back. Coming from Mississippi State fan himself, give us the breakdown.
Well, obviously you got it wrong.
Okay.
Mississippi State 12-0
12-0.
takes it to the college football playoffs first ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Maybe they are the 12 seed. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't get first. I'll say 11-1, could possibly 10-2.
Yeah.
I like that. He's
Obviously going to beat
humble.
Ole Miss end of the year. Egg Bowl's an automatic win.
Ole Miss. That's automatic win.
Always. State
At
owns
Ole Miss?
Mississippi. At Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
I agree.
like a Pee Wee high school stadium. Nothing to really worry about.
Yeah.
But we will go to the college football playoffs, and we will run that thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Mississippi State's a huge underdog. College football video game. They're what 82 overall.
Yeah. Something like
Are you
that.
kidding me?
Yeah. That's
Should've
a
been
joke.
Should have been a 92.
That's a joke.
Blake Shapen, one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. Just nobody else has seen it yet.
Yeah.
I actually led
5'11". Yep.
led him to win the Heisman in my dynasty run.
A
this
Heisman
year,
winner.
so,
A short king. A short
I
Heisman
think,
winner.
I think
He said a short Heisman winner. A short king.
Oh yeah,
He's working.
that's what the nation needs right now. It's so divided. We need strength.
That's what we need.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss goes.
If you guys go 11-1, you guys might be the 1 seed.
Yeah, well, I'd say at worst.
At
4
worst.
seed. We'll have the bye. I'll give us the bye.
All right, cool.
Ole Miss will probably go 1-11.
Wow.
Jackson Dart overrated. Lane Kiffin just likes Ole Miss cheerleaders, not football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
got.
That's
Very
respectable,
insightful.
though.
Yeah.
All right.
That's respectable.
Give it up for Mr. Sage.
I called it here first.
We can't wait to see them go 1-11.
Dare I say they're gonna run a train on the E SEC?
All right.
That was awesome.
This leads us to our next team, Mizzou. Mizzou was a hot team last year. I believe they won 10 games last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Tigers are they finished with 11 wins last year. They finished 11-1. The Tigers they're trying to follow up the successful season from last year, and this year they're kind of going all in. They're really trying to make a playoff push this year. They got their quarterback in Brady Cook, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, I believe. He's back, and they even added some weapons for him. They got Luke Burden III, Theo Weiss, and Marcus Carroll. They've been aggressive in the portal, and they still have their defensive starters coming back, and they got a pretty solid O-line, and I think that's going to be really crucial for them this year, as they can easily start the season. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0. They got to play teams like Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, Vanderbilt. That's 4-0 already, and then they're gonna have a challenge with Texas A&M. But after that, they got Mass and they got Auburn before they play Bama, and that might be the hardest game of their schedule because after that they got Oklahoma, and then other than that they got South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. So I think Missouri honestly have the easiest schedule in the SEC from what I'm seeing here. 3 challenges right there, and I think they can win 2 of them. So I can see a season where they only finish with 1 loss, and that's pretty realistic. And I think they got a really good chance of making the playoffs too.
I agree. They have the 65th strongest schedule in the nation. That is the easiest schedule among SEC conference holders or conference participants. Sure. This team, they have, I think, 14 remaining starters, returning starters, I should say. Their transfer portal success wasn't amazing, but they still brought in some decent talent. Jeremiah Beasley headlining or front running the incoming transfers. But you also have Caden Green from now SEC school Oklahoma Sooners. You got Darius Smith from Georgia. These are all 4 stars. And then you have Torian Pride, who started for Clemson all last season. So those are 4 impact players coming in. They actually broke even in terms of incoming transfers versus outgoing transfers. That's almost unprecedented. That never happens these days. Players, when they don't start, they leave. Missouri has a good tradition, good program philosophy going right now. I don't know who the head coach is, but he's got something good going on at Missouri. They have arguably one of the best receiving corps in the nation with, Burden III. leading it. This team's legit. They did lose 2 games. I gotta correct you there. They lost to Georgia and LSU last year.
2 games.
But
That's true.
They're gonna be fine this year. They'll probably lose 2 games potentially because they're Missouri, but that's enough to get them in the playoff for sure.
All right. Moving on. Next, we got Oklahoma. Oklahoma, another team joining the SEC from the Big 12 Conference. Last year, pretty good season with Dylan Gabriel at the helm, only having 3 losses. They finished the season with 10 wins, and they even got a huge win over Texas. So, this year, they're going to be relying on former 5-star sophomore quarterback in Jackson Arnold. They totally revamped that offensive line for him. The biggest problem for Oklahoma this year is going to be that first-year SEC schedule. So taking a look at their schedule, they can start the season off 3-0 before they run into the powerhouse that is Tennessee. And then they got to break with Auburn. And they got to run the Red River rivalry.
Oof.
That's a tongue
That's
twister.
That's a tongue
God.
twister, yeah.
So they got to play Texas there. That'll be a tough one. And then they got Ole Miss, Mizzou, Bama, LSU on that schedule as well. And what a welcome party for Oklahoma. We'll see how they do. They got some hype at the quarterback position though, and they still got some talent on that team. But is it good enough to compete with this SEC kind of schedule? Maybe a few upsets here and there, potentially, but I don't see it. I maybe see them winning 8 games, potentially.
I did want to bring up real quick. They have the journeyman of all journeymen in college football as their backup quarterback, Casey Thompson. You may recognize that name, and it's because he played at FAU last year. But he also played at Nebraska, Texas, and Arkansas. So, he signed for Texas. He signed for Texas, played in Nebraska, FAU. So this guy has been passed around like, I've said it before. I'm not going to say it again because I've grown. I exhibit growth on this channel, okay? And I realize what I say could have been insensitive. But he's been passed around.
All right.
See, you like that?
Yeah, what happened to the family-friendly channel?
This is a family. That's why I've grown. It's a family-friendly show.
Yeah, that's
we're
true.
providing here. The transfers
We'd
are
love
pretty
to see it.
solid. Thank you, sir.
Round of
Their
applause for
transfers-
Drake. I mean, Rhett.
You're not going to recognize these names, but they played at good schools and they started, and they didn't lose a lot of players this year, besides their quarterback, who was. And then they did lose General Booty. That's a tough loss. To have.
That's a huge loss.
I know, it's a tough loss. They lost General Booty. But Oklahoma, their schedule, I didn't pay attention to what you said, but give me 7 wins for Oklahoma this year.
All right, that sounds good. Can we have a moment of silence for General Booty? Thank you. All right, moving on. Next team, we got Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming in with the hype. They're coming in expecting to be in the college football playoff because of Lane Kiffin and all the transfers he brought in. They still have Jackson Dart. He's back at the helm. And they brought in a buttload of transfers this year. They did lose Judkins. He went to Ohio State. But it does not matter. They pretty much they mostly recruited for the defense, fix some of that defense. As last year they were like offensive heavy team, and so now this year they're trying to balance it out to make the playoffs. Taking a look at their schedule, they can easily start off the season 6-0 before they run into an LSU and an Oklahoma team. Even then, even Ole Miss has a lighter schedule. Their toughest team they got to play is Georgia and Florida.
Don't forget Florida.
So
Don't do
can't
it.
forget Florida. Yeah, can't forget Florida. So they're pretty much almost set up for college football playoff spot here. It would be pretty tough for them. It would be pretty tough for them to mess this up unless they're pretty much banged up with injuries or lose to Mississippi State. That will definitely ruin their whole season.
Which is
there.
gonna happen. Apparently, it's a lock.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lock. It's a lock according to our Mississippi State insider.
Yep.
So lock it in. Ole Miss is going to finish the season. We'll give them 10-2 with losses to Georgia and Mississippi State.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah, you covered it, honestly. They had huge success in the transfer portal this year. Their strength of schedule is not that bad. I mean, they play LSU, who I don't think is going to be as good this year. Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida. Can't forget Florida.
Can't
and then
forget Florida.
obviously, the powerhouse it is Mississippi State Bulldogs. Lane Kiffin, if he does not make the college football playoff this year, he is gone. Because they have done everything they can within the transfer portal and then within recruiting as well. So, this is going to be a tough one to pick, man. They have 15 returning starters on top of all the talent that they have coming in. This team is built for longevity. Can they have success? We're going to find out shortly.
Yep, that's for sure. So, just taking a look at the transfers, they got a ton of transfers for that defense. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Moving on to the next team. Next team we have is South Carolina.
The Cox.
They're like the Cox, the Gamecocks, because they're always game. So,
The Cock.
their line is set at 5.5 wins. Gosh, we're trying to get monetized, dude. Their line is set at 5.5 wins. So not high expectations. Last year, they finished the season 5-7. Not the rest year. They were still able to win 5 games. Shane Beamer has shown the Cox can claw their way to some ugly wins, according to him. That's an actual quote from him. That's an actual quote.
I got it. You're a journalist.
I'm not paraphrasing.
I got it.
Cox can claw their way. Can the Cox keep clawing their way in? I don't know, man. The offensive personnel is going to be better this year. The question's going to come in with the quarterback, Lenore Sellers. He's going to be his first fall as the starter. Tough schedule. The Cox got a lot of clawing to do, man. I'll say that much. Taking a look at their schedule this year, they got to play teams like Ole Miss, Bama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Missouri, actually, LSU, and Clemson to finish off the season. So, it's not looking good. Yeah, I mean, the Cox got to get ugly here.
Correct. You covered it. South Carolina, this is going to be a tough season for them just because the SEC is so good this year. And they have a quarterback who is unknown. They have 13 returning starters, an unknown quarterback, a very good coach in terms of bringing it every week. Is he a good coach in terms of, what do we call it, game plan and leadership? Who knows? But they fucking bring it every time they go away from home. And I expect the same, even with a team that's inferior this year. They don't really have any noteworthy transfers coming in, honestly. They have this guy, he's a 4-star from Chattanooga. Or not Chattanooga, from Charlotte. Sorry, that's my fault. But other than
Get it
that,
together, man.
I'm sorry. It is late here. But they don't really have any noteworthy transfers. South Carolina, they're going to beat Old Dominion. They're going to beat Akron. They're going to beat Vanderbilt probably and then Wofford. So give them 4 wins.
All right, give it up. 4 wins. Let's go. That's almost good enough for a bowl game. So Almost. Moving on. Next, we got Texas. Their line is set 10.5 wins, and they're coming off a season where they made it to the college football playoff semifinal game. They took a loss to Washington, unfortunately, but they come in with Quinn Ewers coming back. They did lose some big pieces. They lost their top 2 receivers, their top 2 interior defensive linemen, huge pieces, but they kind of reloaded the receiving room. And with Steve Sarkisian, he's going to be able to get that offense going. And they also got some help through the transfer portal. They got a huge addition in UTSA edge, Trey Moore, who actually led the nation in sacks last year. So, and they got depth at quarterback position because they got a RT Manning, an exciting quarterback prospect there. But will he see the field this year? Probably not. That's Quinn Ewers. He's arguably a top 3 quarterback this year. And he's definitely going to be in consideration for the first round in the NFL draft, this upcoming draft. So Texas got high expectations. They're tied for the highest win-loss projection, tied with Georgia, of course. And taking a look at their schedule, open up the season against Colorado State. We got a huge game week 2 against Michigan, which was almost my prediction for the championship game. Didn't happen. And then they got Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry, where they're going to have to get some revenge there from Oklahoma. And, of course, they got to play Georgia. That's going to be a huge game right there. So, honestly, they're favored in every single game here besides Georgia. And even that Georgia game could potentially be like a pick'em, or maybe Georgia's favored by 2 or something like that. Slight favorites, but I got high expectations for this Texas team, and I expect them to be on top of the SEC. Yeah.
What a great season Texas had last year. Let's think about it for a second. They went. They had 1 loss to Oklahoma. They barely lost that game too. They really shouldn't have lost, but they did. Now they have to play Michigan at the Big House. That's going to be a really tough game, especially just atmosphere-wise. I don't think Michigan's as good this year, but that game is still going to be bananas. Then they play UTSA. Talk about Trey Moore revenge game. He might have fucking 18 sacks that game alone with how bad UTSA could be this year, with how old UTSA's team was last year. Remember? In the bowl game? It was like their last hurrah, and they barely won that game. UTSA, that's going to be a bad one. Trey Moore is going to have probably 4 sacks just that game alone. Their incoming transfers are insane, dude. You got Savia from Arizona, who's a starting defensive lineman. You got Isaiah Bond from Alabama, starting wide receiver. You got Silas Bolden, wide receiver from Oregon State. You got Matthew Golden, Houston wide receiver. Trey Moore, as you said, and then Andrew Makuba, who started every game for Clemson. I mean, this team, talk about the rich getting richer. These guys are fucking stacked. They have their quarterback, Quinn Ewers, back. This team is my favorite to host a playoff game this year. Get the top 4.
All right. I can see that. All right. So, moving on. Next team, we got the other team from Texas, Texas A&M. Their line is set at 8.5 wins. And I know last year they got a pretty tough schedule. But this year, I believe that was the storyline last year. And then this year they got rid of Jimbo Fisher. They brought in former Duke head coach Mike Elko.
Yep.
And the roster, you know, they got good players there. The coaching staff improved. The vibes are high. Quarterback Connor Wigman, he's going to be coming in, leading this team and trying to fulfill his former 5-star potential. And they interestingly enough, they opened the season against Notre Dame against Elko's former quarterback Riley Leonard. So that'll be a fun one to watch. Besides that, this Texas A&M team, they're setting themselves up for success this year. Their toughest game this year is just Missouri, LSU, and Texas. So I don't see why they can't finish the season with 2-3 losses. So high expectations for Texas A&M, rightfully so. They got their quarterback, and I forgot to mention, of course, they got Notre Dame. They got to play Notre Dame too, so that's another tough team there in the schedule. But they got winnable games. This team can compete, so I can't wait to see. Pretty much, I think it's going to depend on how Connor Wigman plays and if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, that was the big storyline last year. Wegman was performing up to Heisman standards. I mean, obviously the record didn't show for it, but his stats were comparable to a Heisman winner. Then he borderline breaks his ankle. It was like a grade 2 or grade 3 sprain, whatever the highest one is. And he was out for weeks. And I think he was more of a, what's the quarterback from Cam Rising? He was more of a Cam Rising situation where like every week he's coming back, and he didn't come back. If Wegman can stay healthy, he's got the talent to lead this team to the promised land. And by promised land, I mean 9 wins, which is pretty good for Texas A&M the last couple years.
Yeah, especially for SEC.
Give me 9 wins for Texas A&M this year. I think they have a bounce back year, and I know that's crazy to say that with 9 wins, but I think that's actually a really good season for Texas A&M. If they can get 9 wins, that means they beat Notre Dame, they beat Florida, and they beat Auburn probably. Still probably going to lose to LSU, Missouri, and Texas. So, give me 9 wins for Texas A&M. I like them. I like Mike Elko. That's pretty much all I have to say.
I would agree. I like Mike Elko as well. I think he can be definitely a positive for this team. So, with that, we'll move on to schedule. We got Tennessee projected at 9.5 wins. The Vols have one of the better defenses in the SEC, led by one of the NFL high prospect in James Pierce. And they got an electric quarterback in Nico Imaloeva, something like that. How do you say his name?
I don't know.
Give it a try.
I don't know why you asked me. Let me look them up real quick. Tennessee.
They're being led by an electric quarterback in Nico. Nico
Nico Ayamaliva. Lamaliva.
Lamaliva. Electric quarterback in Nico Lamaliva.
There we
They
go.
have a strong group of receivers and running backs, and first time starting, so we'll see how he's going to perform. The success of Tennessee is going to be pretty much on his shoulders. I mean, the defense is there. Can the offense meet the standards of a successful program in the SEC? We'll see. I mean, the defense can for sure. They got a pretty solid schedule there. I mean, they got to play Georgia, they got to play Bama, and then of course, how can you not mention the powerhouse that is Florida? We've been mentioning them all video long.
Yep.
So, it's a pretty. I don't want to say it's like a layup schedule for Tennessee. I think they can finish with 2. I think one loss would probably be the roof. Their floor would probably be like 3 or 4 as long as everyone stays healthy. So they're within the range to strike for the championship game there, for the SEC championship game anyways. So we'll see. Pretty much all relies on how this new coming quarterback comes and plays.
Mm-hmm. No, Labor Day weekend, that's going to be a fun matchup. NC State versus Tennessee on a neutral site. I think NC State's legit. We talked about them in our ACC video. They are sort of like the San Antonio Spurs of college football.
Yep.
Their roster may not look incredible, but they always come out and they always make the playoffs. And by playoffs, I mean a bowl game.
NC State.
And a bowl game is the playoffs for college football. They always make a bowl game. They're notorious for it. And NC State has a better team than people think this year. So that game right there, mark it.
I agree with
ABC,
that.
Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler on the mic for that game. That's going to be a fun one, man. I'm looking forward to that. But Tennessee as a whole, they're good. I don't know if they're... I think 4 losses is worst case scenario for them in terms of keeping their contendership alive. That Oklahoma game is going to be tough. That's going to be a test for them, especially it's at Oklahoma. Florida, obviously the powerhouse program. We've been talking about them all video long. They're incredible. Bama,
incredible program.
I'll put Tennessee at 3 losses this year, 9-3.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up NC State because I'm pretty high on them as well. So that game should be exciting and should probably point the direction for how the season's gonna end up for both these teams.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we'll move on to our last team of the video for the SEC. And you can't talk about the SEC without bringing up Vanderbilt. Their line is set at 2.5 wins. Last year they finished with 3 wins. Give it up for Vandy for setting up the low expectations. I don't think you can get any lower than that. So
You can.
it's apparently. So the hope for this Vanderbilt team, it all comes down to New Mexico State transfer quarterback Diego Paiva and former Aggies offensive coordinator Tim Beck. So Vanderbilt, all I gotta say, good luck, man. You know, just go out there and have some fun.
Yes. Oh no, dude. Diego Pavia, the 5'7" college football player playing in the SEC. Oh no.
I mean, they play Alcorn State, Georgia State, Ball State.
Yep. Historically
Virginia Tech?
speaking, they're going to lose one of those games.
All right, then 3 wins. They repeat last year.
Historically speaking, they're going to lose one of those games. So let's say Ball State, they drop against Balls. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Their balls
okay.
drop
All right,
against
they
Ball
drop
State.
balls. Damn it, Paiva. I don't know, man. They might be able to compete against Missouri, Alabama, Kentucky, Texas,
You're right.
Tennessee, LSU,
You're right.
South Carolina, Auburn, Texas.
Yep. You're right. We're talking about representation here. Representation matters for us here at Reese Football. And
Yes.
we're not tall. 5'9", 5'10". Matt will claim he's 5'10". He's also 5'9" like me, but I'll give him this height because it's his channel. Matt is 6 foot. I'm 5'6".
Yes.
Diego Pavia is
yes.
playing for me. People like me. 5'6". They have nothing going for them in their lives besides being an accountant and having a white-collar life, living in an apartment, barely scraping by, making meal preps every day because you don't have enough money to spend out. He's playing for us. Let's go, Pavia. Give me 4 wins, please.
He's going to be playing for the little man. We love to see it. Yes, Vanderbilt. Got 2 new fans here. Let's see. We can watch them play Alcorn State for $3.
Where's Alcorn? Or is it in Vanderbilt?
It's at Vanderbilt.
Okay, that's Nashville. We can go to Nashville.
Nashville
For $3?
it is. It's a Nashville
Alright.
party.
All right, we're going.
We'd love to see it.
We're
All right,
going.
that's it. All right, that concludes the SEC preview / breakdown. Appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned. Next up, college football playoffs predictions. We're going to talk about conference winners, how teams are going to be set up in our playoff predictions, and potential championship game matchups. It's going to be an exciting season. Can't wait to start with you guys. Stay tuned. We're going to go over, once the season starts, we'll be making our weekly prediction videos again and all that stuff. So stay tuned for those videos. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.